Hello. Making a few small improvements in a few key areas can make a huge impact to your bottom line profit. This is how it works. If we know our number of customers and the frequency with which they buy, so the number of things they buy each year, and the price they pay, that will tell us the revenue for the year. If we know what each thing we sell costs in terms of making or distributing it, that's the variable cost, then the difference between the two is your gross margin. So you divide the difference by the sales price times 100. So in this instance, if we have 100 customers buying 3 times a year and each time they spend 400, then the revenue is 120,000. The variable cost is 200 and the price is 400. So the margin is 200 divided by 400, which is 50%. Therefore, our gross profit is 50% of our revenue, which is 60,000. We'll have other fixed overheads, maybe some wages to pay, maybe rent, rates, etc. So the overheads are 30,000. Our operating profit, our net profit, if you like, before other things like pension payments, etc., is 30,000. So if we could make a few small improvements in these key numbers, now I'm sticking to 10%. Now, the thing about 10% is if you do 10% in 5 key numbers, that's 1% a year. And if you can find the time to work on your business, then that doesn't sound too daunting. So if we could make a 10% increase in our number of customers, I can show you over 100, getting on for 100 strategies to achieve that. Make a 10% improvement in the number of times they buy, again, well over 20 strategies for that, and make a 10% improvement in our average price, not just putting our prices up, there's loads of other ways to increase your average price. Those 3 sets of 10% improvements, so 1% a week in each, would give us a revenue of 159,000 instead of 120,000. We'll look at our variable costs and see if there's any way we can shade anything off our variable costs. So costs of supplies, storage costs, loads of areas to look at there. And assuming we can find a 10% saving eventually there, then our gross margin will go from 50% now to 59%. Our gross profit would therefore be 59% of the increased revenue, which is 94,000. I'm assuming that our overheads would be more difficult to cut. So there might be possibilities, but let's just keep it conservative and say we're sticking to the 10% in the other areas, but we're not going to try and cut our overheads. But even leaving our overheads the same, our operating profit would now be 94,000 minus the 30, which is 64,000. So we've increased our bottom line operating profit from 30,000 to 64,000, which means it's now 215% of what it was, or 115% improvement. And we've done 1, 2, 3, 4. All we've done is made 4 lots of 10% improvements, so less than 1% a week, maybe 1% a week for 9 months. So you can see this is very, very doable, and this would be typical for virtually any business. It's not tied to one type of business. Those sort of improvements are definitely doable, and your starting point would be to look at the accounts and to look at where these opportunities lie. And that's basically how it would work. You look at the accounts and you can see whether the possibility exists or not. And if it doesn't, then obviously we wouldn't go any further. But if it does, then this is the process we would follow. Now, what I've put here is that it all depends, first of all, on actually wanting to do this and believing you can do it. And that means you need to get your head right. So what I've put here is that the exclamation mark means good thoughts, positive vibes. The question mark means negative, fear, caution, procrastination, comfort zone, etc. And unfortunately, because the way our minds work, we're 3 times more likely to be negative than positive. However, you can overcome that by doing a 6-week mental exercise training program, which involves 15 minutes a day at any time of your choosing during the day, of exercises you can do anywhere, which make your brain automatically think more positively rather than more negatively. And this is all backed up by proper research. So that's probably your starting point, that and looking at the accounts to see where the opportunities lie. And once you've got your head right, that means you can then set goals whereby you'll achieve this. And the other thing you have to do is to recognize that you need to set time aside to work on your business, which is why I put the time here. So those are the important things. Your numbers, the 4 key areas there, you're getting your head right and setting goals and committing time to achieving those goals. So that's basically how it all works. If you think that's of interest, have a look at businessroundtableuk.co.uk or email me, bernard@businessroundtableuk.co.uk, or message me on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever. So I hope you found that interesting, and it's exciting to realize that this process would work for any smallish to medium-sized business owner. Once you get to large companies, you would like to think there are already sort of people in situ who do all these sort of things, strategists and company accountants, etc. But for smaller to medium-sized businesses, there's a wealth of opportunity here, which, if you know what you're doing, can make a big difference to your bottom line profit. I hope you found that interesting, and well, thanks for watching. Thanks very much.